Hi, all. Welcome back. My name is Dean, and we're busy today. Busy going over some international news, some local news. We're going to take a couple of big dumps on people today, so I'm specifically excited for today's program. We're going to talk about the Russian embassy in Canada and their sweet, sweet penmanship, telling all Canadians to beware of Russians yesterday. That was a lot of fun. We're going to talk about the Ukrainian people and how they're just whooping ass, or are they? Army Kris is here to talk about warfare and what's going on in Ukraine. 25-year combat veteran for the Canadian Forces. Very happy to have him here at Army Kris. Is where you can find him. He's blowing huge clouds, and he's got a pill on his hand. How many is that today? It is 3:13, 1:13 Standard Time.
Can I guess?
Mountain Standard.
I'm
going to say 11. Is that 11?
Okay, you got 11. I'm going to go with, because he has a couple of Baileys and coffee in the morning, usually to get the shakes gone. By 8:30 maybe, he cracked one, and he's usually on about a 45-minute to a 50-minute pacing for beers. You're at 6 or 7.
You are correct at 7.
Wow, that is incredible beer math. That's awesome.
You know where I learned beer math from? That
Army
guy
Kris.
right there. It's all about the trajectory. What do you call it?
The consumption to time curve.
Explain that for us before we get started with the heavy shit. The consumption to time curve with Army Kris from the Fire for Effect podcast, 25-year combat veteran. I am not about to tell him how to live his life. So let's learn something today about the consumption curve, or whatever the fuck you called it.
It's actually simple math.
Okay.
Time, consumption, start of daily activity or a party that you're going to. Because you've all seen that guy who's fucking shit tanked 3 hours into the first party.
Yeah, you mean Jimmy?
Jimmy. Actually, that's a great example. Consumption of time curves, the amount of beers drank over a certain period of time.
Yeah, I got it.
And you got to start off slow, and then you're going to hit that point where they're going down really fucking good.
Yeah,
you can ramp the curve up with the desired end state of not being blackout loaded at the desired time.
So what you're telling me is you employ a mini process when it comes to your drinking, so that you are not just functional, but you can enjoy your life. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've been drinking steadily since 11, but started at 5. I thought it was 7, but my dad said, no, I started you drinking at 5. I went, okay, well, I digress.
The funny thing 11. is
he's not made up.
The truth. He's telling the truth, because I asked him in the comments section before when Locke was trying to rejig all his gadgetry, which, by the way, I wish we would have recorded. That was fun. Because he's a tech genius, right? We all know that. So anyway, watching him do that prior, because we were like prepping for the show, I'm like, Kris, because we were like banished to being quiet because you were trying to work out some tech issues. So I
was
DMing
yelling
with
at
Kris.
you guys to shut up. So
I didn't say a word. I just went and got a coffee. And then I started DMing Kris, and I'm like, hey, Kris, when did you start drinking? He's like, 11. And I'm like, I'm not even going to ask if that's true, because I know it is. So, like, when you say started drinking regularly, that's like a couple beers a day at 11. And did you have the time consumption prefix all set up back then, or did you go hard and kind of realize, hey?
Like most things, I learned things passed down from my father. So when they used to have parties, because it was the 80s at the time, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I was the bartender for my dad's big family gatherings from, I guess the age of 7 onwards, and got heavily into bartending at 11 years old, and learn the right quantities. I used to, I told Locke this story the other day. Whatever the topic of the day was on 95.7 Cruise FM, the locker room, I said, me and my brother grew up as kids driving between Calgary and Saskatchewan in the box of a truck. It was the things you can't do anymore, you don't see anymore.
Yeah, that's what it was.
We had fucking skidoo suits on. We'd be in the box of a truck with a cap on, and our job, I shit you not, was to pour Crown Royal and Cokes and pass them through the sliding window on the 8-hour trek between Calgary and Regina. This is no fucking word of a lie. That's how we roll out here. You know,
You can't do that anymore. Huh?
no, you can't. You don't see that anymore.
Put
You
your
don't-
snowmobile
I said
suit
you
on,
can't
we're
do
going
that
for a
anymore.
drive.
I said you can't do that anymore. You know what he said? Well, you don't see it anymore.
Well, you're not even supposed to put your fucking kids in the box of the truck, right?
You mean in the back of the truck, not in the cab? Like you didn't have a king
the
cab.
back, the
The
box.
back. So your dad would load you guys into the back of the truck with some ice, some Coke, and some Crown Royal, and your job was to mix
Into
him
the
drinks.
box.
But he didn't want you in the front with him, or no?
Well, no, he had this like 77 Ford. It was just a normal single cab truck, right?
Yeah.
So we just saw you little fuckers go in the back. We had these little beanbag chairs. We'd be loaded up with all the Christmas presents. It'd be 48 below in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Heat 6 deep, going down the road. Pour me another one. Fucking. That's yeah.
Grant told a story about his dad used to make him
awesome.
Used to go to trip to the dump once a month, right? And so that shit didn't fly out on the roads, he put Grant on the back,
hanging on,
lying on all the garbage face down, so that it didn't fly off the back of the truck.
And that was another episode of Tales from Saskatchewan.
Yeah. Well, it's in Saskatchewan. You can do anything. There's like basically no rules because there's no one there. It's like a massive province, and there's like 900,000 people in this entire province, which is roughly the size of like a quarter of Russia. It's like fucking crazy huge province, right? So when you get pulled over there, like drinking and driving there is like, just try to go slow in Saskatchewan. That's kind of what they teach you. And in the 80s, they didn't give two fucks. Like there was no seatbelt laws.
No.
You could drive around in the back. Like I grew up in Rosetown, Saskatchewan. You could drive around in the back of a truck. You could put like our baseball coach and hockey coach in the winter, minus 48, would drive around and pick guys up, and you'd throw your equipment in the back of his truck. Then you'd climb in, and then he'd drive like 10 kids with all their equipment in the back of the truck to the hockey rink. That's how I grew up.
To the outdoor rink too.
Outdoor rink where you would practice, and if you got real lucky, you got to go inside and get changed first.
Yeah.
Like that's seriously. And I remember one time, Rosetown, I'm like grade 3. My mom's like, "You got a hockey game?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "You got to walk." I'm like, "It's really cold." And she's like, "Forget it, because I got a party tonight and I'm drinking, so whatever." And I'm like, "All right." So I grab because I don't know any better. I grab my shit and I walk, and it's literally like a 2-mile walk to the hockey rink. And I'm like, "Whoo!" So I would stop in 3rd grade at people's houses and knock on the door and say, "Can I just warm up for a second? I'm on my way to a hockey game."
And Dean, she probably gave you a note and said, "Pick me up a Paprika Demorier king size from the store on your fucking way home."
Do you remember that? Go to the convenience store with a note for smokes from your folks.
I didn't.
And they would always say, "You can keep the extra $2 because like smokes was $3 a pack. They'd give you a $5, and you're like, "Ooh, I could play like 8 video games or get some gum or something." This is incredible.
That was it.
Army Kris and I are about the same age, so we probably. When did you start? I didn't start smoking until I was 17.
Yeah, when I joined the Army,
he was 3.
So I was 17 when I started smoking, and I remember $4 packs of cigarettes, and I remember being livid when they went up to like $5.50, and they're like $19-20 a pack now, aren't they?
I got it. I have an alternate source for cigarettes. I can speak to it.
I have an alternate source for smokes.
I love that Army Kris decided that he was going to try quitting smoking, so he got on the vape, and now just instead of quitting smoking, he does both.
Smoking more.
So now he has another habit.
Dude, that was like my buddy's girlfriend. He's like, "She's an alcoholic. I don't know what to do." I'm like, "Take her to AA." He's like, "No problem." So about a month and a half later, I'm like, "How's it going?" And goes, "Oh, she's drinking and doing coke now." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Why don't you try coke instead of booze? Because the hangovers aren't as bad." And I'm like, "Dude, they're way worse, I've heard." And he's like, "Well, yeah, they're way worse because she drinks way more because she does coke too." And I'm like, "You're a fucking idiot. Why did you do that?"
The problem is she probably went to AA and then met another addict who was.
And they're like, "This place sucks. Let's go do some coke and get wasted."
Yeah, she took the phrase support network a little bit differently than she was supposed to.
Yeah, she did. Anyway, Army Kris is here. Lachlan Cross is here. 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. Nice little 10-minute jaunt down memory lane when our parents gave 0 fucks about our safety. Like 0. and how lucky you are to have good parents in the year 2022. But lots going on. Of course, Army Kris is from the Fire for Effect podcast, which you can get anywhere you get our fine podcasts. He's a 25-year Army veteran, combat veteran. What did you specialize in again before we get into Ukraine? Because I need your expertise on a couple of things because the world's going nuts. But what was your like munitions? You were that guy, right?
So yeah, I was an artilleryman by trade, but finished my career with in counter IED, counter improvised explosive devices.
Okay.
So he was the guy that went. I love that. It's one of my favorite war movies. Actually, is
I ran those. That there's a lot to be said. That's a very Hollywood movie. It's not quite like that, but
yeah, like the when Jeremy Renner took his helmet off and that truck was full of explosives. And he's like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, he seemed to want to take his bomb suit off right away, like all the time.
Yeah,
it's like, we don't.
One thing I learned about that is it's never the red wire.
Yeah, well. It was in Speed too.
That wasn't real. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening in Ukraine. We've had 5 days. We're 5 days into the invasion of Ukraine by Russian terrorists. Christo-fascist, Christian nationalist fucking psycho Vladimir Putin sends 135,000 troops to the border. We've watched them try to get in from the east, made a little bit of room, a little bit of growth, not a lot. They've tried to come down from the north. They keep getting pushed back by Ukrainian forces who are amazing the world with their ability to hold off Russian forces. Now, I want to know a couple of things, and I want to get to the Russian military machine first, because two things is, are they as shit as we're seeing they are? Are they the 3 dressed as a 9? Because some of the videos that are coming out of people like just walking away with tanks, like just, hey, well, it's a farmer. Like, dude, I'm showing you this video. This farmer, this is fucking unbelievable. This guy is he's a farmer, and these tanks and Russian equipment are being left all over the place because they have no fuel and they're running out of gas because they apparently had to sell a bunch of gas to buy food for the last couple of years. But this literally happened. I'm going to play you this video. It is absolutely hysterical. It's a fucking farmer from the Ukraine who's like, I'm going to take this tank. And he tows it, and then he starts driving it. Watch
Some
this.
farmer just stole a tank in Ukraine.
And these guys think it's fucking hilarious. Like, the funny part of this is that they're being invaded. Russia's literally dropping cluster bombs on different parts. And the Ukrainian people are just dying laughing at some of this stuff because I guess you have to. But, like, apparently there have been over 700 tanks that have just been left at the side of the road. They've destroyed something like 190 or 200 tanks. And we're getting the feeling, or I'm getting the feeling, that the Russian army either A, sent in a bunch of scrubs and some shitty old equipment first, or B, that they got nothing. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case, because the U.S. just said, hey, listen, he's got a lot of firepower left. Just relax, everybody. So what are you seeing as a combat veteran, as an artillery expert, from the Russian army, first of all, and then we'll get to kind of where everything is.
Okay, so I'm skeptical on what's being portrayed, and we're seeing all these videos coming out, and it's a lot of young Russian soldiers that are bewildered. Allegedly, they don't know where they are. They thought they were on exercise, and all the balance of the rhetoric that you're seeing through social media, mainstream media, whatever. However, I want you to consider the timeline. So when this thing kicked off, the tone was very much different. What Russia did was doctrinally completely template, perfect, bang on. They used air power, air campaign to take out air defense systems first, followed by communication systems, followed by airfields, and then seized key airfields. Mm-hmm. So the tone in social media and mainstream media was pretty fucking different 4 days ago than it is today. Now, this is purely hypothetical, and we can generate some conversation based off of this. Yeah. This is my opinion only. This doesn't mean anything. It's just how I perceive it based on joining the Army in 1988 and learning how to fight Russians back then and understanding their doctrine throughout my training.
You were trained to fight Russians, right? Like
Correct.
when you were.
Yeah, this is pre-détente, so they were the enemy.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as jihadists in the desert at the time. It was the bear and the Iron Curtain prior to the fall, and then they were our fucking friends and all that great stuff.
Yeah.
But I know this: the Russian doctrine for use of artillery, specifically in this case, is they use more artillery than any other military probably in the world that we're aware of, because we don't exactly know how the Chinese would work on a large scale conflict. And I haven't seen them do that yet. So if you look at the air campaign textbook, suddenly there's been artillery strikes, yes, combat teams of armored personnel carriers, dismounted infantry, but it looks like the B team to me. So why would that be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, potentially three reasons. First of all, you need to figure out how to get into where you want to be. So if you use these pawns, if you will, if you think about chess, you utilize pawns in order to see how your opponent is going to move the bigger pieces around the playing field. Mm-hmm. Send those guys in first, and that gives you a reconnaissance advantage to actually know where Ukrainian strong points might be, how fortified Kyiv, the capital, is, and other key strategic areas. How strong are they actually? We'll just throw some shit at it. So that's one thing. Second thing is you establish what the determination is for your supply line is going to look like. It took them this long to advance. Their consumption of fuel and food was this and this and this. I do some calculations, and my logistics experts actually figure out, how long that's going to be. And then the third big thing, when you look at the geopolitical situation, it buys Putin some time to see what the actual response from the world was going to be, rather than go fucking all in right out of the gate and have nowhere to maneuver backwards. If he hasn't squandered any significant resources to this point, yet he's still gained intelligence out of what's where, he still established supply lines by securing routes. He now gets to feel out what Biden's going to do, what the EU is going to do, what Boris Johnson's going to do, who's going to do what his own people are going to do as far as response to, rising up, going, we oppose
protesting and shit like that. Yeah, we've seen. Yep.
Right. So he's created a bit of a buffer. And I just honestly, in my opinion, and I hope I'm wrong, I really do. I hope the Russian army does fucking suck. I just don't believe that. They have weapon systems at their disposal, and I'm not going to get into the nuclear option right now that we haven't even seen yet. I haven't seen the full gambit yet. So that's how I perceive it, is that he's softened hard targets through his air campaign, and he's utilizing the B team. It's like watching preseason hockey. Nobody really pays attention. You put on the new guy, let him go a little bit. But that's
you give your enemy this false sense of security that they might be able to hold you off when you've really just kind of sent in a bunch of Lugans like this kid. I don't know if you saw this. This is pretty unbelievable. This is like a troop of like Russian kids, like 20-year-old kids that were captured by Ukrainians. This dude's crying his dick off. Like, he's like, leave me alone. We just can't. We were told, and this is what he's saying, we were told you would welcome us. We were told that we were coming here to help you. Why are you shooting us? So the Ukrainian guy's like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, you came here with guns and you started shooting people and stuff. But like, there are thousands of these videos out there.
That's my point. Is you cannot tell me that is an accurate cross section of the fucking Russian military, because there's no way. You're foolish if you think that. Be strong, or appear strong when you are weak. Appear weak when you are strong. Sun Tzu, Art of War. This is like it's not time to start giving each other handies just yet. It's not fucking done. There's more to follow.
I agree with you. I just think that maybe do you think that Putin, there is a case to be made that he underestimated the response worldwide. Obviously, there's a huge case to be made that he underestimated the Ukrainian people, and I think that does China have a B team?
So
Like, let's say this was China. I don't think you would. Do other militaries around the world have a B team? We're going to send the slugs in first.
No, but China will. Putin doesn't give a fuck about his people. He cares about him and his wealth. His ego is
but
that
I think
big.
this might be an indication of the representation that he has in his military right now.
So you're saying what you're saying that you don't think this is representative, which is what Kris is saying, is that these guys in like a lot of these trucks are made out of like railroad ties. The cabs are like it is like a lot of the tanks that are being left at the side of the road are like from the 50s and 60s and full of garbage in the back. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos how unorganized the insides of these places are.
As an example, Dean, and I don't watch it that much, but I'm looking for the modernized tanks, T-72Bs, which has 125 millimeter cannon, 12.7 millimeter, which is 50 caliber, also coaxial 7.62, and an AT-11 fucking anti-tank missile system on it with reactive armor designed to defeat conventional high explosive anti-tank from a side or frontal angle. I haven't seen that shit yet. I'm seeing all this old junk. So to me, it's exactly like I said. I think, and I only have an opinion, he's done his air campaign to soften up the hard targets.
Right.
He's doing his reconnaissance to see how strong they are here, there, and there, and he's mapping that out with his general staff. And he threw a bunch of shit at it to bolster that. He gets to measure his supply lines to see how long it's going to take. Of course, these fuckers are starving. They have no fuel because I doubt he's fucking giving it all to them. You know, or I'm completely wrong. And his ego is so big. And he actually believed he was going to wrap this up in 3 days. Yeah. So he didn't logistically plan for it. But I honestly just can't believe that. I believe he threw the B team at it, under-resourced them, saving his resources for a follow-on thing now that he's got the information he's got, including what the West's response was going to be, because it's going to gauge his reactions to how he's going to play it. That's just how...
You know what, Army Kris? I think that's a really safe way of actually looking at this. I think it's the safer way, actually, of looking at this, rather than completely disregard what the potential might be down the road. But I don't know. There is so many stories out there right now about the corruption in Russia, not even just from the military perspective, but just the culture as a whole is so corrupt. Their approach to Olympics, any sporting events, they are so poor that any attempt at money is justified. It doesn't matter how illegal, you just go and you do it. They're talking about generals are stealing equipment and selling it on the black market because they have no loyalty. It's just the thing to do. So that
I know they're broke and they're starving.
Is that the propaganda machine? Is that really what's happening, or is that what they want you to get fed? Like, let's not ignore the fact that the Russians have influenced mainstream media. It actually impacted politics in the West, and suddenly we're just going to take everything you're hearing at face value. That feels fucking naive to me.
No, that's why I just gave you credit for at the front end of that statement. Was I think that what you're saying and how the world should approach this is exactly what you're saying. Okay, this is the B team. This was an attempt to judge how the response would be around the world. Now he's making decisions behind the scenes on how to move forward, and maybe the A team does come out, right?
Yeah, or he's got the latitude to back off. Like he's trying to create options for himself.
That's not it. But I mean, just
who Putin is?
We can,
yeah.
What's that? If you can compare this to a company. I've worked for companies before where it's a dog's breakfast, where the staff are miserable, but there's motivational posters all over the walls.
You can do it.
Yes, there's this perception. Not those. That's not the.
You can do it, Russians.
There's this perception that this company is what it is, yet when they send out a survey, they're all in shock. The guy at the top goes, what do you mean? Look, everyone's fucking miserable. I never trusted those anonymous surveys, by the way, because as soon as the first time I gave a bad review, my phone rang about 15 minutes after I hit send.
Oh, they all
like, this was supposed to be anonymous.
They're not anonymous.
No, they're not anonymous. Anyway, I think we're dealing with that. That's the way I'm going to be able to get to sleep tonight, is that Putin has an idea of what it is that he represents in the world. I think he has an idea of what his military is. I think he thinks people are following his commands. And I think behind the scenes, fucking generals are selling missiles.
Like, let's get the fuck out of here. Yeah, dude. To the point where like,
really
it's not just generals that are... Well, we all are, I think, because we'll get to the nuclear deterrent regime.
We need to think the way Army Kris is thinking. That's
because we're expecting like the narratives always change, but there's been this tidal wave of support, obviously, for the Ukrainian people because they've been invaded, and the lies that were told about we're going to denazify Ukraine, we're going to come after all the pedophiles and drug addicts. Like, he's legitimately hung this weird collar around everybody in that country, which is a lie, just to get some kind of support from anybody, or maybe to snow the Russian people. But to your point, I mean, the protests in Moscow, the protests around the world have been incredible. And let's get to that reaction that you're talking about. If the B team if this is what we think it might be, he sends in all the conscripts and scrubs, dudes that he pulled out of fucking juvenile detention centers, beat into going to fucking war, and they just told him they were just going to do a military exercise, which by all accounts is that's what this group that has gone in has been told.
Yeah.
Or they join the military because it's 3 squares.
It's 3, but they're not even getting that. Now, here's the question that I have for you. If that's the case, are we looking at like, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the term Spetsnaz. These are like, Navy SEALs in Russia.
The Russian special operations,
Russian special ops. I saw an entire plane load get loaded up.
Great name.
Spetsnaz get loaded up to go to Volgograd, which is where their staging area is in the north. And so I guess it begs the question, like, the trial balloon that he sent in with the B team, and you see the international response. Kris, you've seen it. No-fly zones. Russian central bank has been cut off. Oligarch yachts are being loaded up with like fucking dynamite. Cut off of the Black Sea. The magic passports pulled. 58 different oligarchs have been sanctioned by every NATO country in the world, including Putin, and they were taken out of the SWIFT messaging service, which is that international banking messaging thing. And what really killed them is they shut down the Russian National Bank. And in the United States today, they said, and in Canada, they're like, no one's allowed to do business in Russian funds anymore. Like, you cannot take it. It is dead. We are done until these guys move out.
You can't sell Russian vodka in Alberta.
You can't
buy
in
Russian
the
liquor.
States.
I was going to go down and grab a few 60s of Smirnoff just in case this happened.
By the way, that's made in France now. So,
who knew?
Yeah, Smirnoff is France. It's Russian Standard and a couple other. Go get some Tito's.
Thank
it's
God.
Good stuff too. But my point is that the reaction has been like fucking unbelievable. NATO's like all together. The EU's all together. Everybody in the world that had a difference of opinion is all together. So if you're Putin, what does that tell you? If these guys were trial balloons, like fucking time to pull out, or because he's fucked, like they're isolated to the point where Canada has a no-fly zone for every single Russian plane. Like, if you're Russian, you cannot land on Canadian soil. You can't. You're not allowed in the country.
Exactly it. So let's say all that's true. If he decides, fuck, I got to go back to the drawing board here because the world fucking hates me now. I'm being condemned by guys that I thought were neutral or my friends, and they're weighing in.
Dude, the Taliban was like, dude, what are you doing, man?
Right? The fucking
China
Taliban.
was like, and China, that was yesterday.
And
China's like,
going, the Taliban's going, we kicked your ass in the 80s. Now you want to take on fucking NATO for an insurgency? Like, he should have read his fucking history books and seen how the Russians made out against the same fucking farmers and shit that kicked our ass for fucking years. You think you're going to be able to manage an insurgency that is fueled, funded, trained by all the Western Europe and NATO countries? Look at the amount of firepower that's being flown in right now by the United States with Stinger missiles, Javelin systems. Germany's now lifted the restrictions on export of weapons. Plus the amount of
that's insane.
soft guys that are going in that are going to mount in. They're going to consult. I got friends that are leaving Thursday, Poland, that are going to start staging and training what will evolve into an insurgency. Fuck yeah, put Putin cheese curd there. Put in the old B team, because if he needs to suddenly suck back because everybody and his dog and all his billionaire buddies are against him, what did he lose? Shitty old tanks and the B players. He's still got his ace up his sleeve. He's still got all his big guns and his big planes and his big army.
The question is, does he take a step back and squirrel away back to the homeland based on the reaction that he did get?
He's going to lose a lot of face, and he's an egomaniac, so that's hard to gauge, man. Like I don't know how that plays out.
That's why it doesn't make any sense. Your line of thinking, because from all accounts, this guy lets his ego dictate his moves, and to me, a guy that lets his ego dictate his moves doesn't send in a B team and then go, yeah, that didn't go the way I planned. All right, well, we need to get back on the Swift thing because my buddies are losing billions of dollars.
Yeah, but
and then go, I'll wait a month or two.
Militarily, everything I said makes sense. Still,
yes, but you're still being run by a fucking lunatic,
right? Economically, I don't fucking know. Or losing face, being the megalomaniac that he is he's at least given himself the options, and he's not military blown his load, if you will. Sorry for you kids listening.
I think we're good.
Right? He's still got.
I think there's a lot of kids in the program here.
He's still got the weight. I doubt he's gonna fire nukes, because when you fire nukes, you don't say you're gonna.
Yeah, just let him go.
So,
to that point, explain that announcement that he had the other day, where he was like, he told everybody, "I got the nuclear." No, what did he call it? The deterrence regime.
So he's basically
what is that?
What basically what that means is, as I understand it, is he's turned on his nuclear network.
Yeah,
powered her up into let's get ready to use tactical nuclear weapons, which would be your shorter range ones to go. But I mean, fuck, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't play that card and announce to the world, I'm doing this now. You would just do it. You just turn it on. The only way he does that is as a preamp to say, here's my level of commitment and seriousness to this, prior to engaging in those conversations, which I understand are taking place right now on the Ukraine-Belarus border. So he's trying to
stop our motivation at this point, Army Kris.
Fuck.
Like, do we make a?
I don't think so.
Yeah, does that scare us?
So
I thought it did.
That's another.
I honestly don't think it does, because I think the world response, and thanks to the guy that gets the credit for that is that fucking President Zelensky, is the most badass motherfucker with the biggest balls on the planet right now, and he literally just rallied the world. Whereas historical leaders have not measured up to that measure of resolve.
You think it was him? I think it's his people. As much as I don't want to take any credit away.
Dude, he had a chance to split too. Like, the thing about Zelensky, which is incredible, and this is on Army Kris's Twitter feed. I don't know if it's pinned, but I found this fucking unbelievable. He is leading from the front, as you point out. He's leading.
He said, I need ammunition, not a ride.
Yeah. Look at this video of him having coffee with guys in a bunker on the front lines.
This is so fucking badass, boys. Like, it really is.
And what does that do for a troop? Like, what does that do for a guy who's going to war?
Okay, well, let's rewind the clock 8 months ago, when the Taliban, who's a butt-fuck organization compared to what the Russian army should be, they seized all of Afghanistan in a matter of days. And the first thing that fucking coward leader did was go on a plane and flew up to insert stand here. And everybody immediately fucking imploded.
That might
because
be a
they
bit
had
racist, I think.
no, that's a fact. That's what
That's a fact. Yeah, I just think it's funny. I don't find it offensive at all. Insert name of country ending in Stan here.
I don't
I
know
like
if
that
it's
one.
racist anymore. I've given
So,
up.
Kazakhstan,
whatever,
racist.
man.
Yeah.
That guy fucked off. And how do you rally and motivate your military or your populace when you're the first guy to go, I think I'll serve our people better by fleeing to the rear? Yeah, right on. Fuck you.
What
This
is it
guy-
about, Army Kris? What is it about this conflict? Or are we ever gonna know that has guys like Anthony C. Walker sitting his wife and kids down for dinner on Thursday night and going, honey, I gotta go.
I admire that kid's conviction, but I wish he wasn't doing what he's doing. Separate story. We don't have the time, I'm sure.
No, we do. I want to talk about it because
Yeah.
the Foreign Legion is taking Foreign Legion in Ukraine has signed up, I think, 8,000 foreign fighters.
So
Yeah.
okay.
Now
Guys
hang on,
are
let me just
biking across the border.
I will break
Poland
this down into
with
bite-sized
rifles on
pieces.
their shoulders.
Okay, let me play this clip first, Army Kris, before you
Okay.
get into it. And I really want to hear what you have to say because you and I were DMing with each other, all of us DMing the other day when we had Anthony on, which was yesterday. Anthony Walker works with us. He's a content producer. He's a comedian. He was with Karima up in Ottawa. He's a medic as well. Tried to join the Army here a couple of years ago. They're like, you can't because you got hemophilia. You bleed too much. And he's like, fuck, okay, whatever. He's got 3 kids and a wife, and he signs up, and we interviewed him when he was in Budapest, Hungary, waiting to get to Poland so he could skeeve his way in with a bunch of other foreign nationals and expats who want to go over and fight for democracy. And he feels like this is really important to him. Let me just play you this clip. This is from yesterday's show.
It's not even a Ukrainian. Like,
He's got no national ties to it at all. Yeah, here's the clip. Watch this. You're going over there to fight. Like, is that your intention? And how the fuck did you get there? Like, what's the process of a Canadian guy saying, hey, listen, I want to go help?
So basically, my plan is that I'm going to get to the Ukrainian border, and for as long as is needed there, I'm going to be providing first aid to anyone leaving the country that requires it. Lviv is very close to the border, so I'll move into Lviv next. They actually have a brewery there that stopped making alcohol and started making Molotov cocktails. So I'm going to grab some of those. I don't know what the transportation is like, but assuming that I have, access to some kind of military transportation, we're going to stock up on those and then get moving from there. But I have so many people that are saying they're going to come to Lviv. There's a group of Canadian Armed Forces members that are coming. There's a gentleman in Fairbanks, Alaska, ex-U.S. Army, that says he's guaranteed going to be here within 72 hours. 2 ex-British Forces members. Wow. People from all over are contacting me. So I'm telling everyone, get to Warsaw, then get to the border. The border guards will direct you from there. They're sending up people at like local police stations, so you'll probably be directed to go to Lviv to the police station. You'll get your weapons. I've somehow become the de facto go-to guy for information on how to get to Ukraine.
All right, so that's Anthony Walker. I understand he talked to him recently. We DM'd him yesterday. Was it or this morning? Was it this morning? And he got back to us. Said he was on a train in the Polish countryside and didn't sleep, and we haven't heard from him since. So we're trying to get a hold of him. But give me your take on these guys because you've got friends that are going over, and we were sharing some DMs back and forth, and you were skittish on the idea, to say the least.
Yeah. So before I fucking say what I'm gonna say, I have the utmost respect for what Anthony is doing. I really do. Okay. But I need everybody to understand that the request for what is called the International Brigade, that's the short version of it, that Zelensky, President Zelensky of the Ukraine has authorized. First of all, any foreign national who wanted to join the Ukrainian army up to as of 2015 could do so. And you're seeing a lot of that. There's expat Brits and others that are part of the Ukrainian military, like regular Ukrainian military right now. He's authorized the standing up of an international brigade, but he's looking for combat veterans first. Now, let me give you an analogy to that everybody should be able to understand to help explain my concerns. Let's say you have a project car, you're a backyard mechanic, you're very good at it, you got a 67 SS in the garage, you want to work on it. You got all the tools you need, you're competently trained in how to do it. In comes your kid. He wants to help. He's got a crescent wrench he found underneath the bathroom sink, doesn't know anything about mechanics. But wait, he shows up with 20 friends, all that are not trained, all that are not equipped. And, oh, they're not there for the afternoon. They're there for the week. Now, you have to feed them. You have to house them. You have to train them. And then you have to figure out how to employ them. But wait, there's more. They speak fucking Cantonese, not English. Now you need an interpreter to fucking translate, which doubles the training time. All right. So where am I going with this? People who want to go and do what Anthony's doing, and again, I respect what he's doing. I understand he's an EMR. He started talking about weapons, and that's where I said, stop, stay in your fucking lane, young man. Okay. You didn't make it in the Army, and just because you took some weekend CQB course and went to the range a couple times does not mean you have the depth of experience.
He was honest about his breadth of
I know, but I don't want him to have you know, delusions of grandeur that he's going to go to the line.
Like he walks in there thinking he's Rambo.
Yeah, very minimal training.
Get to the border and say, I have no combat experience. I am an EMR, emergency medical responder, and our main man Brad Hopper can explain this better. That's below an EMT or paramedic, but it's above your standard first aid. So he has
little known fact about your friend Dean Blundell, by the way. I also have my EMR certificate.
Are you on EMR? Good. So then you understand that, Dean. Like, stay in that lane. What I'm saying is, if you want to, and I know a lot of guys, I'm getting my phone's blowing up right now. Guys are going to join the Georgian Light Brigade or some fucking thing. Go there with usable skills.
Yeah.
And despite your passion, you could create more of a burden on a logistical burden on their system who's actively engaged in war fighting right now than it is worth. Because if they have to clothe you, feed you, equip you, train you, provide a translator, and you multiply that by thousands of people whose hearts and intent is pure and respectable, make sure that you actually have a marketable skill set. So my friend Marcel and his crew that he's bringing over there Thursday, he's ex-military guy. He's one of my mentors. He's that guy I looked up to when I joined the military. It's not what he's going to do. He's also run international search and rescue organizations for years, based out of Red Deer, but they're part of international SAR units. So he's taking initially a 6-person SAR unit, self-contained, self-equipped, because they're linking up with guys they know in Poland, and then they're going in. So he has a plan to minimize the logistical impact, and, you know, don't be a boat anchor.
I think Anthony
you bring up
have a skill though. Like I mean, I don't
want
to
take I'm not taking that away from him.
Yeah.
Well, his effort was, and we talked to him for almost an hour on Sunday as he was getting ready to get in transit, and he was pretty honest about it too. Like, you know, and we don't, you know, we never think of these things, which is why I'm really happy you're here to talk about it, because we don't think of the ancillary issues that would take place with people who are like, you know, fuck, let's go fight, let's go to war. It'll be so fun. War is not fun. Like, I got a tweet from someone today. It's like,
trust me.
Can you send out this tweet for all Canadian veterans who are being triggered by what's going on over in Ukraine? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'll help out. And I couldn't believe the response to it, because so many veterans right now, and I'm sure this is something you deal with, or people that you talk to about this very subject. So many veterans are like, this is not what you think it is, that have been to war. Like, this is fucking, this isn't theater. This is real. This is the real shit.
Like, just because somebody's, and I'm not
Anthony's
talking about Anthony. We'll leave him alone. There's a lot of guys out there that they're Call of Duty experts, and they've taken a few civilian courses. A lot of what ex-military guys do is they get out and they put on these, say, close quarter battle courses for 2-3 days, where they teach you very basics of weapons handling, how to stack up, how to enter a room, how to pie that room, and how to navigate through the space. And then they have a big fucking party, and they all think they're Navy SEALs, and they get a little certificate, and off they go. There is no substitute for actual combat experience. Let me fucking tell you something right now. Even with guys that I've worked for and the doctrine that we use for years and years and years, when you get into it for real and the rounds are flying through the air, it becomes chaotically confusing. And you're on a radio and you're trying to understand what's going on. You're working with a fire team partner, and that guy's working. You're working within a section of guys who are part of a platoon, part of a company, so on and so forth. And it is fucking chaotic, and it's very confusing, and it takes a while to figure it out. Now imagine a guy who doesn't speak Ukrainian, who's not so good with the tools and doesn't have the experience, paired up with somebody like that in a combat situation. He's both a detriment to himself and the guy he's with. So I'm just saying to people, anybody, whoever you are, your will to fight, and it takes like to train a guy to be combat ready. If you cut out all the shit, you're looking at upwards of 10 weeks to make him actually effective. There's armored fighting vehicle recognition. You have to know what the enemy looks like. You have to know the enemy moves. You have to know how you move with your own units. You have to be able to communicate. It's not, I'm good with this gun and I know what all the attachments are on it and how to use them. That is not what the fuck this is about. And even when you think you know all that shit, when you're actually under contact, when you're in a tick, troops in contact is what a tick is, and it's like nighttime and it's fucking insane. It's the most seasoned guys that have been around the block a long time, who have been in other ones. They're all different, and they're very, very confusing and challenging, and time slows down. A lot of weird things happen before you figure out how to actually manage that battle space and succeed through it. There's so much more to it than being good with a gun and having a big heart and saying you want to come in for the big win. So
heart's important, though, you know, and I get what you're saying. And I think I the first text I got from Army Kris on Sunday when we jumped on that pod on Sunday morning with Anthony was, man, I love this kid, but I don't think
does he
should be encouraged, right?
Yeah.
And that's fair. And at the end of it, Dean and I did say that, like, I don't know if this is the best idea. Before we even went on, he goes, I don't know if there's some sort of technical explanation for me. And I went, yeah, there is. Crazy. But I can't tell you how much respect I have for that kid. Like,
oh, me too. Hand on my heart.
But part of it is like, you know, we're preconditioned to be huge pussies over here in this country because of the freedoms that we enjoy. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about people that have served in our armed forces or cops or people in uniform. Generally speaking, and I've never seen more pussies than I have over the past 2 years. The people like these fucks that said they were fighting for freedom. I call them fuckfaces.
Oh yeah.
But
I love that when you put this up, Dean, because this fucking tells the true story.
You got freedom fighters. That guy in the suit, he's the former president of the Ukraine. His name's Poroshenko. He's
a
fighting
billionaire.
Multi-billionaire, fighting with a whole bunch of fucking guys because he has to. He's got a fucking Howie in his hand. And then you got these guys that say that they're tired of tyranny here in this country.
They weren't allowed into Denny's.
Yeah, for the moon.
That's right.
What is it?
Moon's over me hammy.
Moon's over me hammy.
Now here's what I hope happens to Anthony. Here's what I got one last thing I'll say and I'll shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
What I hope happens is, and how I would do it is, this international brigade will have a lot of augmentation from former NATO countries, special operations forces, and guys with combat experience. And what they'll do is they'll screen all the volunteers, break out who's got actual combat experience, who's worked in a multinational context, and who's familiar with the area. So those first guys they're going to pick are former Eastern Bloc countries, Slovakia, Czech Republic, guys who can speak roughly the language, have the Slavic dialect dialed in, and can integrate with conventional Ukrainian forces. They'll build those guys into small units. the balance, the true Westerners who are not familiar with the ground or lack the training, they will say, okay, we're going to take these other guys, these special operations guys, and begin training them. That's what special operations is originally designed to do, not the door kicking shit you always see, is to train, you know, insurgencies. It was done in Cambodia by the Green Berets prior to the Vietnam War in the 50s, so on and so forth, is actually start turning these guys in the background into a functional organization so that they can then reconstitute the units that are on the front line that need to come back. You cannot keep the same guys on the front, if you will. You have to pull them in and out, just like we rotated in and out of whatever theater of operations we were ever deployed to.
Right.
And then train those guys however long, whatever timetable they come up with.
Yeah.
They will embed them with the conventional Ukrainian force and then utilize them and then bring the other guys back and begin that cycle over and over and over again. That's how I would do it. That's how I see it happening, which gives guys like, guys like Anthony opportunities to show up, to go back, get trained, be value added to the fucking fight in whatever role he ends up in, and give him an honest chance to be successful. And I think that would be the intent behind that international brigade that they've authorized. And with the influx of Western support with money and specifically ammunition and weapon systems, they will need guys to teach them on that. Like the Javelin missile system, it's not like it's not a fucking Poang chair from IKEA where you pull it out. Oh, okay, this thing goes in here, boom. And then you start killing tanks. You need a little bit of training on it. You need to understand the capabilities of the weapon. So they need guys that can do that. And they will have guys that will do that. There'll be former military guys, or there will be guys representing other countries that are there under the radar type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you too about this. So this video caught my attention today. You mentioned insurgency many times, because my feeling is after this conversation that you might be right. B team, in come the heavy hitters and all the heavy artillery, and the entire country is underground waiting to fight. I mean, they're fighting in the outskirts of different
resistance
cities.
Is a better word. Yeah.
Resistance. Sorry. The resistance has been tremendous. But one of the things that I found interesting was this video of just like millennials, like 20-year-old kids with Molotov cocktails driving around, bombing tanks as they roll down the highway. Look at that.
That's fucking, that is OG insurgency shit right there. I love it.
That's why I'm okay with what Anthony's doing. Like,
yeah.
I think I understand what you're saying, Chris, but I think there's a place for, and there's and we still haven't got an answer, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, but there's something about this, and I realize there's been elements of this in the past, but I don't know if anybody's following Anthony C. Walker on Twitter. There are hundreds of people showing up at the borders that want in. Well, thousands of people are trying to get out. There's
600,000.
There's hundreds of people trying to get in to help. There's just something about this conflict that's stoked the fires in us, that get guys like Anthony on a fucking plane to fly somewhere where he's never been to go fight for a country he has no
fucking
connection
awesome.
to.
And you know why I think it is? It's because the little kid on the block's getting picked on, and NATO said, well, we can't really help you, kind of, but that's the narrative, not the reality, because of the counter threat. So they're like, Zelensky said, we're alone, fuck it, we're gonna go do it anyway. And man, if that is not a rally cry, I don't know what is. And
it was tenuous at the start, right? Like I remember when the news that Russia had invaded broke at like 5 a.m. our time. Or sorry, I think it was like 9 o'clock at night, and then the next day it was full on.
Yeah,
I'm like, they're gonna get steamrolled, and the assumption in my head was that, well, Zelensky's gonna leave, they're gonna pull all the people out like they do all the time in those countries that end in stand, as you pointed out, like the Afghanistan president. 40 years ago he was flown out. The new president and the new regime was flown out. I mean, we see it all the time.
That would have been the expectation. You're correct,
right? And And it was like it hung in the balance at the start. And you can say what you want about PR, but war is PR as well.
Absolutely.
You know, he has led the charge, and this country has led the charge by and large by him drinking coffee on the front line, staying there. His family didn't even leave. He is with his family, and the Russian military machine wants to kill him first and his family second. I mean, if that doesn't get everybody involved from that empathetic perspective, if that doesn't have people that have Ukrainian heritage or Slavic heritage or, you know, have military training that go, listen, this is what I was fucking trained for.
Well,
I need to go and do this. I don't know what does.
Back in my day, there was 10 principles of leadership in the Canadian Armed Forces. They've modified it since then, so some officer can get leading change on his evaluation. But anyways, the first one was, actually, forget about the principles of leadership. Leadership in the Canadian Armed Forces was, and I hopefully still is, defined as follows: the art of influencing human behavior so as to accomplish a task desired by the leader in a manner desired by the leader. And that fucking guy nailed that, man. He influenced the behavior of his people by leading by example, which is principle leadership number 4. And to me, the most important one on one of my leadership courses in the Army, they ask you, it's kind of a trick question, what's the most important principle of leadership? And I said, lead by example. Always lead by example. Never ask your people to do anything you wouldn't do. And that dude is the fucking balls, man. Like that, and he's motivated the world.
Yeah.
There's countries that normally would be neutral. Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, non-NATO countries that normally kind of stay in the middle, that are going, fuck that, man. This is bullshit, and we're going in. And I honestly believe that the resolve of the Ukrainian people under the leadership of a president who used to be a comedy actor on TV.
Yeah.
And that statement when he said, I need ammo, not a ride. Like, I got wood, buddy. I felt it move, Dean. I felt it move.
You know, yeah, dude. I was talking with a female friend of mine a couple of days ago, and she's like, the president of the Ukraine is so hot. And I'm like, I know. I know, right? Like, I mean, that is like that dude is showing everybody what matters. Yeah. Values matter.
Like,
sacrifice matters.
If the Russians came over the pole before they crossed Greenland, Trudeau would be in fucking Sayulita, Mexico, surfing.
Look at these girls are all chiming in. Like, it was.
They're just loving him.
She says,
He's
Leanne's like,
fuck, right?
I had an orgasm. She says, like, it's like, dude, and that's what. Yeah, I got out of this. I mean, there's so many sad parts of this, obviously.
Yeah.
I saw a video of a 6-year-old girl in southern Ukraine who died after a shelling. This video of a cluster bomb that I saw going off in Kharkiv today really upset me because, so many people got hurt. But, the gas that we're getting and the lesson we're getting in humanity and leadership, no matter what happens, is motivating enough for us to go, hey, fuck, maybe my belief system sucks. Maybe I'm a selfish asshole. Maybe I'm really comfortable where I live. Which, again, I go back to what happened in Ottawa over the past couple of weeks and these fucking losers in the hot tub, the Freedom hot tub. And I'm like, I wonder if any of these cocks are watching what's going on in Europe right now going, maybe we're soft as fuck. Like, speaking of soft as fuck, I don't know if you've seen Randy Hillier's tweets, by the way, recently. Randy needs to be fucking arrested and taken off Twitter. This guy's an MP. He tweets the other day, far more people have and will die from this shot than in the Russia-Ukraine war. He's a fucking Russian asset. That's all this piece of shit is. That's all he is. And
how's he not in jail?
I have no idea. He's leading the charge for Putin in this country. This guy's a fucking Canadian member of provincial parliament for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston. Says he's a true believer in freedom. He's been begging Putin to keep kicking ass. He's been all over RT, which is Russia Today, which has been now banned in Canada, by the way. I don't know if you know that. We took Bell and Rogers to task yesterday.
It's one of my sources. I use non-conventional news sources to get a picture because I don't trust media. Yeah. And you can't get RT. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't get it anymore, which is incredible. But I guess my understanding of the motivation that I'm seeing around the world is like, oh my God, like we truly are as a country fucking huge pussies, like just enormous losers sitting in our fucking homes while people in the Ukraine are literally underground in subways, going out of the house for 5 hours after a 36-hour lockdown / curfew, while being bombed, while being given rifles, while being given flashbangs, grenades, and Molotov cocktails to fight for their children and their country.
Well, funny enough that you mentioned that, because that's the frustrations from a fucking army guy. The reason the people of this country are the pussies that you say that they are is because they've never experienced conflict on their own dirt. Why? Because we make sure that that doesn't happen. When people said, why are we in Afghanistan? What are you doing over there? I said, I'm making sure that the fight stays there, not here. And then the government who gets also fucking, okay, I'm going to stand on my soapbox. Give me 30 seconds. Who also buys into their personal bubble protected by people like me and the guys that have gone before me and the guys that will go after me, start fucking degrading our capability to actually respond and do anything because they think, oh, this will never happen here. I'll bet you a fucking buddy before 2014 thought that shit was never going to happen in the Ukraine because they thought them and the Russians were buddy. So when I look at these fucking clowns in Ottawa, I think that they're fighting for freedom versus what's happening today. I look at, well, how did that happen? It's because they've never, ever had to ever face any real adversity or be threatened to what their actual freedoms are.
Pussies.
So they create bullshit attacks on their freedoms. Like, oh, I got to wear a mask in the fucking bar. Really? That's an attack on your freedom. Are you fucking kidding me? No, it's not. You know what's attack on your freedom? Your fucking apartment building getting obliterated by a fucking bomb coming out of the sky.
Let's not escape the conversation revolving around religion too.
Well, yeah,
plays a big part in this.
Yeah, and what's really come out of this whole thing? Did you guys follow the restaurant in Sarnia, the Leaky Tank? Did you follow that story this last weekend?
Yeah.
Fuck, gross. So,
go on.
Oh yeah, Leaky Tank is a shithole restaurant in Sarnia, Ontario.
She's a QAnon. The owner's a QAnon.
She's a QAnon freak.
Okay,
she is a one of those born again fucking losers that thinks that that Putin is trying to save, the Ukrainian people from Satanism and human trafficking. On her specials menu on Saturday morning, this is when we found out.
It's Putin, isn't it? It's Putin.
Oh no, close. Oh. Yeah, it is actually. The Leaky Tank posted their specials. Turn off mainstream. Good morning. They lie. She says this is a special buffalo chicken omelet with toast, I guess, hash browns and toast, biscuits with gravy platter, or number 3, you get banana bread French toast with meat. Also on the menu, FYI, she says, Russia is not occupying Ukraine. They are denazifying it. Putin, she does spell it like that, spoke out against the Great Reset and called out those who seek to oppress the Satan worshippers that they are. This is a Canadian restaurant.
Unfucking believable.
Russia is taking out biolabs and human trafficking. Putin, he is fighting against the enslavement of humanity. That is the owner of the Leaky Tank, which, by the way, if you don't believe in science or objective reality, probably don't believe in food prep safety, by the way. So I wouldn't be eating there at any point in time. But I'm going to show you a video. This is the lady that owns the Leaky Tank. I don't know what her name is, so I don't give two fucks about her. With health inspectors. And this is literally her 2 weeks ago during the mandates. So keep in mind, on the specials, she's cheering on the murder of innocent Ukrainians on behalf of Jesus Christ. This is her trying to chase health inspectors out of her fucking shitty restaurant.
We're in a provincial lockdown right now. Restaurants are not allowed to be open. I'm not under provincial jurisdiction, ever. You're on sovereign land. My paralegal is on his way here, and you can discuss it. The what is?
There will be some charges coming.
What kind of charge? And if you haven't noticed this pandemic, they're making these bullshit rules as they go.
Right.
And you're infringing on my right to feed myself. You're infringing on my right for my son to feed himself. You're on sovereign land, dealing with First Nations people. You've killed enough of the babies. You take them away and haul them off in graves. You hold nobody accountable, and now you're trying to put me into starvation.
So Ron has made you aware of why we're here? Okay, so...
She's made me aware of what? That I might be charged, but she doesn't know what I'll be charged with. Well, then the law must not exist.
That's not the issue right now.
What is the issue?
The issue is you've been told that this is a lockdown and you're not supposed to be open.
These aren't laws. These are not constitutional laws on any human being.
As long as you're aware of that.
As long as you're aware that you're doing the work. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Why don't you stay and talk to my lawyer? Why don't you talk to my lawyer?
Out the door.
Wow. Bully. You guys are awful. Awful, turning on your own citizens. Why don't you go live in communist China? Go live on the credit score. Even laugh at that. Come in, try to take people's livelihoods to make a living. Get the fuck out and don't come back. Don't shake your head at me either, you fucking brown shirt.
And
I'm going to
because it's Sarnia, they all clap, right?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb, Dean, and assume that they don't serve certified halal there.
Yeah, I don't think they are either. After that whole comeuppance, she tweeted, "Have fun with that."
Lethbridge.
Yeah, she says, "Remember way back when a person could have an opinion, and if someone disagreed, they would debate it. Nowadays, if someone doesn't agree, it's I hate you and I hope you go out of business and die." No one's saying that. They're just telling you to fucking put on a mask, you little pig. You do whatever your little heart desires with that screenshot. Go spew your hateful venom and have a great time. I stand behind my words. 2 hours after that, when people showed up and refused to let her in her own restaurant, and her staff said they wouldn't come back because they were all being threatened by normal people, she puts this out and says, "Please forgive me. I have no words except I'm terribly sorry. I'd first like to start with the one thing I love about the very difficult past 2 years, how all races have come together. Every color of skin has joined hands. Blah, 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 you dumb fuck. It doesn't matter." She had this on her sign that day as well. This is the sign. Freedom is an award for good behavior. That's how prison works. So clearly she doesn't care about being a good human being either. And not only that, because she doesn't believe in science, I can guarantee you that the people at the Leaky Tank probably cut fucking corners when it comes to food prep. That's my guess. That's my opinion. I don't know if it's true, but someone that doesn't believe in doing things right for others guaranteed doesn't give a fuck if there's a pube in your shitty burger. I can tell you that right now.
Well, listen, the meatloaf was good. I'm sure of it. Because if that's one thing I know about the QAnon folks, they whip up a wicked fucking meatloaf.
Yeah, it's called roadkill meatloaf, actually.
Listen, I am not going to say no to a little roadkill meatloaf. I
probably
grew up on that shit.
He's probably
My dad
getting
came home one
Humpty.
day with a deer in the back of the truck.
Did he really? He said he killed it? Yeah,
he tagged it with the truck.
Oh,
yeah.
did he?
Yeah.
Are we back to that? Because back from Saskatchewan when I was making Ryan Cokes for my dad, not to go full circle, we came across this guy right by Medicine Hat who had just smoked the front end of a deer and killed him. So we drove back to the cop shop and said, "We're taking this." They went, "That's fine." Threw it in the back of the truck with me in my skidoo suits. I got this dead fucking deer in there. I'm running the bar, and then we're gonna get home and hang it up. And yeah.
It's good meat.
I mean,
you're not getting barbecue cuts out of it, but there's a stew or two in there.
Well, no, the whole rear end was mint, man. It was great.
Yeah, the front end was a little messed up, was it?
Well, if you smoke the head, if you clip the head, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
It was
because you don't break up any of the intestines to ruin the meat.
This is my upbringing.
Rook, were you going to say something? By the way, the Chris Rook is
Just
joining
here.
the podcast. We're talking
Me
about
and-
you and your
Well, you-
massive sore on your nose. Yeah. What happened to your face, by the way, before we get started with white girl problems?
This is
what
called a
happened here?
lesson.
It is a white girl problem. That is my white girl problem. Is what happened to my nose.
Yeah.
My wife popped my zit too early, so that's where we're
About
at right
2
now.
weeks ago, and she's still
hideous.
honking.
Yeah,
God,
look at this thing.
Are you
Looks
sure
like
that
a-
wasn't like an ingrown hair?
No, there's been no hair that's come out of it. So
Are you serious?
it's just, it's just. I guess I don't know what it was. And she's like, "It's ready to get popped," and I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
It was not ready to get popped, and now we're here, and I'm hideous.
this is
so.
a mistake men around the world make.
Yeah.
And you need to learn from Rook's mistakes.
I learned.
Don't let your wife pop shit on your face.
Absolutely. There is a period of about 7 years where women get into your lives and they want to change you. And they want to make you more presentable to the outside
Less
world.
pussy. Yeah.
Right. So what they end up doing is they step in on situations like this. Okay. There, you mark it down on a calendar. I'm telling you, Rook, there will be a turning point in 7 years. Well, she'll give up buying you clothes, booking hair appointments for you.
How am I going to get a haircut?
She's just going to stop. Okay. You need to put a stop to that though right away. Right.
Well,
yeah.
I
Like the
realize
picking.
she's
The
still
picking.
spending a lot of attention to your penis. So you're probably obliged to let her do things to your face, but you need to fucking shut that shit down.
Rob has a question for you. Are you going to get that thing on your nose vaccinated? Yes
I
or
think
no?
so. Yeah. It'll probably be good with the vaccine. It's cool because we had basic cable, and now if I stand close to the TV, I get Bell 5.
I was saying Rook, he needs to lean into the zit on his head, on his nose, and just like start putting hats, decorating it.
Yeah.
Like what's
Give it a
coming up?
name.
Yeah.
A couple of coats on this thing. What's coming up? I just saw all my buddies. That's what came up, and they let me know about it for sure.
St. Patrick's Day, you could put like a little clover on it.
I just wish I had it for Christmas so I could play the role of
pasty.
Rook.
Yeah, you look good though.
Yeah,
you wrote a
I'm
great
happy.
piece this week and it kind of fits in what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, and by the way, stop. Yeah, I mean, don't let your wife pick zits on your face. It's like a thing. I don't know what it is with like spouses or partners. They feel like if something's on you, they get to pop it. It's their property.
Yeah.
It's not her property. Your
And
nose
then
is
when,
your property.
when it's in a weird spot, they won't go for it. Like I had a zit on my taint one time, and I'm like, all right, you want to go in? Get in there.
That goes back to primate days. Like you watch monkeys, they're picking lice and shit off each other. So if your old lady's popping a zit on your back, it's just natural.
And you know, it's for me, it's also
that's on his nose, by the way, and it's like she did it with a spoon, by the way. So it's like that big.
A dull spoon.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that
knives.
if she was here, she'd tell you that she did me a favor and that she thinks it's better since she did it.
What?
So not only is she wrong, she's also
lying.
delusional.
Well, she doesn't. You know what I think it is? I think she wants you to be ugly so that you won't have sex with anybody else.
And Lachlan will tell you to put hydrogen peroxide on it.
Yeah. By the way, don't do that. Apparently, it's not a good idea. I have
Full
gargled
blonde?
that shit. I put it underneath my toenails. I rip
it's
it on
not
every
good.
cut.
I used to put it in my
Apparently,
hair when I was like 12, 13.
Really?
I was like, to have blonder hair.
Doesn't
And
look
my mom's
like it.
You look like an idiot. No, I think
Now
I
he
made
looks
it go
like
gray.
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, fucking relax. It's Arctic Blonde. But I want to talk more about people that aren't that are fucking absolutely clueless perceptionally, and there seems to be a lot of white women that are like doing poems to Vladimir Putin to stop the war. Joy Behar, you wrote a great piece on it the other day. How this war has really upset her trip to Italy.
How is she ever going to eat pasta fagioli in Lake Como now? Yeah, I didn't wake up on Saturday and decide to choose violence against white ladies, but I just it just pissed me off because that the whole thing with the Imagine video with all the celebrities. I know, Locke, you love that one.
Gabe, what's her Goog? What's her name?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
Did you call her Gag Gadot?
Gabagool?
Gabagool?
So it just I saw the poem one first, and I'll play the poem one first, as much as I don't want to.
Is this the mother one?
Have you seen
an
the
actress.
No, you can't play this whole thing, Rook. Can you?
I'm going to because it hammers home the point.
Yeah, it's awesome. What's her name?
And I want to.
What's this chick's name again?
Who
cares?
Remember.
Some actress.
Something.
Yeah. All right.
Army Kris, have you seen this video? Because I want to see your live reaction. Because apparently the war is over because of this poem. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So no need to go fight. No need to go do anything. But
you need to put the camera on Army Kris.
Dear President Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved, held in the arms of joyous light. Never would the stories plight the world unfurled before our eyes, a pure demise of nations sitting peaceful under the night sky. If I was your mother, the world would have been warm. So much laughter and joy, and nothing would harm. I can't imagine the stain, the soul-stealing pain that the little boy you must have seen and believed, and the formulation of thought quickly taught that you lived in a cruel, unjust world.
Where's her husband?
Is this why?
Hanging in the closet by his tie.
No one will get the best of you.
I bet
she's got cold feet. You do not hide nor away shy from taking back the world. Was it because so early in life, all that strife wrapped
He's trying to open up a window that doesn't open. They're on the 30th floor.
Mother, if the world was cold, I'd have died to make you warm. I'd have died to protect you from the unjust, the violence,
either that or he's in the bathroom
terror,
trying to remove a nut
I would
so
have
he
died
can't
to
have
give you
kids.
life. Oh dear Mr.
I can't populate the world with another one of these, please. God.
Perhaps the torture of
you are playing the whole
would
thing.
not
You're
within
such
your
a
heart
dick.
imbue a scription to such fealty against that world that you thought was so cruel.
I had to mute him.
Perhaps you would hold dear human life, and on this night, instead of Mother Russia, you would call me. And I would set your mind quite free.
Let's see if he's still going.
Can we? I don't even think I can watch the rest of this. I'm with Locke now.
Yeah, shut it off.
Yeah.
Well, you get the point.
Yeah, I totally get the point.
You guys understand the point.
But I'm with Locke, and I don't want this to sound misogynist, but if I'm married to her and she's like, honey, I'm going to record a beautiful poem and I'm going to direct it at Vladimir Putin, you're right. I would go into the bathroom and clip my nuts. I would just say, listen, I cannot procreate with this lady. It is impossible.
You're not supposed to choke women unless they want you to.
All right. You can't do that. You can't say stuff like that, Chris.
Let's cut that
You're not
out.
allowed to say that. Yeah. Let's cut that out in post. That would be good. But speaking of which, she wasn't the only person with like delusions of military grandeur. Yeah, we don't have one.
More.
We got to let that fly. There's more. Who do we have next? What white woman do we have next with absolutely no perspective whatsoever, Chris?
We've got the lovely ladies from The View.
Estimates are 50,000 Ukrainians will be dead or wounded, and that this is going to start a humanitarian crisis, refugee crisis in Europe. About 5 million people that are going to be displaced. I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear what is going to happen.
Well, I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western Europe too.
Yeah.
You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic, and now this. You know, it's like what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers, boys, to her Italy trip.
Poor Joy, and
poor lady,
whoever that actress was. Poor people.
That is
must be hard.
Tragic. She can't make it to Italy.
Sometimes I do this before I go on the air. And you might want to start practicing this, Army Kris.
No.
I say things out loud just to see how they feel coming out of my mouth. And then I go, oh,
listen, is this like when you told the teachers to go fucking kill themselves and take a few people with you?
Listen, I didn't say that. I never said that. You misinterpreted it. I said I was surprised there wasn't more violence in schools today.
Oh,
that's all I said. I didn't encourage.
Did you say that one out loud before?
I didn't encourage teachers.
I'm starting to get the impression that Lachlan
what he said was he was pissed off with fucking kids and students. Anyways, what he said was, I wouldn't be surprised if teachers went home and killed themselves and took a few people with them.
No, That's not.
Well, that's the end of it. Thank you for tuning into the locker room. This is Lachlan Cross's final show.
I gotta take it. The only reason Chris did that to Locke is because Chris hung himself about 5 minutes ago when we're like, let's take that out and post.
Oh,
whoops. I already time coded it. We're good. It's right out there.
Boy, I appreciate it.
All right. Okay, so I digress, but somebody needs to sit down with that woman and put her on some kind of meds or something.
Well, and hold on, and I've said this before, and it's not just white women. There's a woke sort of culture that is infested its way into our sort of world, and again, white women bear the brunt. I mean, they're carrying the cross for this right now, because it's easy, right? It's the path of least resistance. But I think what ends up happening is you get people in certain situations in life where they feel guilty and they feel like they want to do something. And I think that's what that is,
That's
Brooke.
bullshit.
No,
that's trying to get her
Dude, that is such a fucking load of shit. You know what it is? Those women have the perspective of a fucking cockroach. Nothing they've ever done has ever been bad because all they do is go forward, and they've got these privileged fucking lives, and they never put themselves in harm's way. No, not like this dude. Like, if I'm sitting around like if Sonny Hostin, play that clip again one more time. Play that clip.
Do not play that woman doing that.
No. We won't play. I want you to play the clip one more time. Sonny Hostin, who's a brilliant legal mind, very smart lady. She's like 50,000 people might die, like dead, mass.
Estimates are 50,000 Ukrainians will be dead or wounded, and that this is going to start a humanitarian crisis, a refugee crisis in Europe. We're talking about 5 million people that are going to be displaced. I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear what is going to happen.
Well, I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western Europe too. You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic and now this. You know, it's like what's going to happen there?
Pour one out for joy. Oh my God! Like you can't, Locke. You can't. I mean, it's nice of you to try and justify how fucking selfish.
She reminds me of that.
I was more talking about the woman who did the poem. The horrible. I wish I was your mother.
That's like a Godzilla virtue signal. There.
Yeah. You guys remember that white chick that went in front of a judge several years ago, and it shot an intruder of color in her home, and the judge said, "Well, why did you shoot him 12 times?" And she said, "Well, Your Honor, that's all the ammunition I had." I mean, fuck, man.
So I think that like it's never gone wrong before of a bunch of white guys saying stuff about white women. So I think we should all just stop saying things about them and just let Bill Burr do it.
I remember watching that live, and it was one of the most awkward Saturday Night Live openings I've ever seen.
It was great.
Louis C.K.'s opening about how much pedophiles love kids was definitely like one notch above.
That was up there.
That's true. That one, but this one, I think Bill Burr went out there and went, I'm gonna blow this up. I'm gonna really, people are gonna hate this, and I'm okay with that. I'll be able to go home and have a good night's sleep tonight. I bet you there was a dare too, because you've never seen a comic on that level do his actual show on SNL.
When was that?
That was a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think their monologues get looked over before. I think that everything else is done, but they kind of just trust their hosts to just say that. But like I said,
I bet you he'll never be back.
You think because maybe that one, ever since Sinead O'Connor burned the picture of the Pope and caused a little controversy.
Yeah, turns out she was right.
Yeah, who knew?
But
I remember watching that live too.
Yeah, that was I like that white girl. I do. I like.
That's
Sinead.
my favorite white chick, Sinead O'Connor, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think the overarching theme is just stop it. Just stop.
Not wrong.
Stop writing.
Wrong.
Just stop writing poems. Just stop saying it. Just stop. Pointing
why?
the fingers
Can I
at
tell
me.
you why? Can I tell you?
Please.
Bingo. You nailed it. I'll tell you why. And I see a lot of people doing this online. And I'm like, I try to be incredibly mindful about it. Case in point, a couple days ago, yesterday, the European Union, every country in the world got rid of Russia today on television, right? Bell, Rogers, Telus had not. And so I tweeted, probably time to sack up. And sure enough, they did it. They were like, yeah, we got it. They removed it. And I'm like, done. Good job. I could have put out a tweet saying, guess what I did? But it's not about me, right? It's about what's going on out there. It's about contributing to the discourse. It's about having a conversation or proving a point for the greater good. And it's about advocating for the right things. It's not about advocating for you dumb fucks. Whether or not, like every
some people are
tweet that I
confused
see
about how to do that.
Well, it's easy. Just
Donate.
don't put yourself in the center of the fucking story. Like every single time that I've seen, like the Joy Behar thing, she was unbelievably the center of her own story, piggybacking off of death and destruction in another country to say, when am I going to get to go to Italy? By the way, like, are you fucking kidding me? Same thing with the girl that did the poem. She took time out of her day to write that, and she took time out of her day to write that not to help the Ukrainian people, but to prove to people that she was a fucking poet. Like,
And no
there are
one
things that
checked
are
her.
so much more important here than you and your own content. And I tweeted this the other day. Do not put yourself in your content. If you're one of these people that thinks that the world fucking revolves around you, shut the fuck up. Like, do something for somebody else. Here's something. I got a new mug. You know what it says? Help others. Those people are
love
just
it.
trying to fucking help
I
themselves.
love it.
But
I
I
got a
think it's
question
a bit
for
of an
you guys.
epidemic right now. I think
I
I think that's an issue right now, Dean.
Selfishness? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Chris.
think
What were you going
it's-
to say?
You
Do you
don't
guys
say.
do you guys think that it's right that they're banning Russia from the World Juniors in Belarus?
Yes.
What's your feeling
They
on
did it
that?
in FIFA too, right? FIFA.
Because
did
I'm on
that.
the
I'll
fence.
tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what was
Not
true
full-blown
yesterday
in
might not
soccer
be
yet.
true today, right? Case in point, vaccine mandates. We needed them when we were knee deep in Delta and all the other shit, trying to get out of it with vaccines. Now I'm okay with get rid of vaccine mandates. Doesn't bother me at all because we're in a different space. Like, again, what was true yesterday might not be true today. Now, a week ago when this started, and I started watching people go, ban Russia from this, ban NHL players, ban Alexander, ban the World Juniors. At first, I was like, because Gretzky was the first dude to say it, who's
You blew
also
my mind.
of Ukrainian descent, right? His entire family
Yes,
came from
fair
Ukraine
enough.
during the war. And he's like, don't allow the juniors to play in the World Championships. The World Junior Championships would have to be rescheduled because of COVID. They're happening in August.
in
And
Edmonton.
and the hate that he got from that was incredible. But then I started thinking, he's right. Then Dominic Hasek put out a tweet, and he's like, fuck Russia, fuck the Russians. They're trying to kill people. And Russian athletes in the NHL, like Ovechkin the other day, was like, it's bad. That's all he said.
Yeah.
No,
see,
no
Dean,
war.
that-
It's
that's,
bad.
that's my point. I have a military
But what I'm saying
mind.
is that I'm saying, like, you want to sanction everybody to the point where I said the other day, it's time to fucking get rid of all, and I mean every single fucking Russian diplomat in this country.
But
Every
here's why I
single
wanna-
one of them.
Here's why I want to flip that on you.
Well, I want to read you this.
Okay,
I want to
I'll
read you
wait.
this letter
Yep.
first. Let me read you this
Oh,
letter.
I love this letter.
This letter came from the Russian embassy in Canada. We're talking about a political government. We're talking about like an embassy of fucking diplomats, like smart people who you'd think like, oh, listen, if you put something out like this, the Canadian people aren't going to believe you and they're going to fucking hate your guts. Let me read this to you. They deleted it since. Sanctions announced by the Canadian cabinet against the president of Russia and the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Russia are unprecedentedly unfriendly. And at the same time, absurd step. It contradicts all principles of interstate relations, diplomatic ethics. In this way, the cabinet is now approaching the point of irreparable severance of bilateral ties. Response will follow. In a broader context, I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that 2014, Canada shyly turned a blind eye to overthrow the democratically elected government of President Viktor Yanukovych by means of an armed coup. He was unpopular. The West, blah, 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 blah. Secondly, for 8 years, Canada not only ignored the rise of neo-Nazism, this is where it gets fucked. Secondly, for 8 years, Canada not only ignored the rise of neo-Nazism in Ukraine and the genocide unleashed by Kiev and the regime against the Russian people in the east of the country, it encouraged and helped in these killings. None of these things are fucking true. This is the embassy of Russia in Canada putting this letter out to warn Canada, and it's just full of bullshit lies. Like full.
This is the QAnon.
Then he says, this is all from QAnon. Canada trained military formations, including neo-Nazi radicals. This is a documented fact. It is not. This whole fucking thing's a lie. Who then went on to kill innocent people in Donbass. In this sense, we have the decision makers in Ottawa ever realized that they have blood on their hands. Thirdly, Russia is neither fighting Ukraine nor Ukrainians. Russia is conducting a special military operation to denazify Ukraine. The Canadian government acting as one of the most zealous sponsors and defenders of the Kyiv regime, the same regime which raised the symbols of SS divisions and portraits of Hitler's collaborators, Bandera and Shukyevich, as things to be proud of. In fact, protects Nazism. So he's calling Canada Nazi sympathizers here. Thus, the cabinet writes his name into the darkest pages of history and shames the memory of a generation of brave Canadians who gave their lives in a common struggle for victory over Nazism in World War III. This letter was from people that are living in Canada under the Canadian allowance of diplomatic immunity. It is full of lies. All of it is bullshit.
Do you
and
think
they
they
took it
believe
down
it?
yesterday? Yeah, no, none of them do.
So that's why
I talked with a friend of mine that knows people in that office at the embassy, and he's like, they were told to put that out by the Russian Federation, and they're all scared to death. All
this
of them.
is why
They're
I'm
like,
against
"Fuck, we just
banning
want it out."
Russian youth from Western exposure.
Well,
Okay, let me explain that. So I'm against banning them from coming to the World Juniors or any other event, especially the youth, because if I'm looking at this as a long game, if every opportunity we can expose them to reality or the twisted version that we call reality with the way the media is versus the program reality that they get from Putin, that creates an opportunity for them to go, wow, I'm seeing the different side of the coin looking backwards, even though I'm here for a limited amount of time. And we're not lumping them into that bad guy thing. If you make them bad guys and say you can't participate in the World Juniors, for example, or the NH, whatever it may be, you're fucking saying that bad decisions made by a guy that who's a fucking absolute tyrant that you have no control over, and now you're getting a different perspective. You have a chance to fucking make that right. Get them while they're young. Like, I just don't agree with that. I'm like, fuck, that's a wrong strategic move, and it's a military-minded decision, but I just don't agree with that. I don't think it's the right decision to make.
I'll weigh in here. I have an opinion on that because I was sort of in a similar mindset the other day when everything started getting banned, and I was okay with the banking stuff, and then I started to think, you know what? This is gonna entrench an entire culture into securing their beliefs about the West already. You know what I mean? It's just reinforcing. Yeah, exactly. But here's where I think times are different. I think that there is access to information out there now that wasn't available, obviously 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. And propaganda still spreads today, but there's also that glimmer of hope that somebody in Moscow or, a small town in Russia can get their hands on information that might be different from what they're being fed at school, work, and friends groups, and whatever propaganda they have in front of them that feeds their narrative. And I think that if you lock that country down, there's a better chance they may rise up and actually defeat Putin. And I think we're at a point where I think we need to make it as painful as possible in order to foster that possibility.
Like pissing off, like you're talking about pissing off every single Russian, making the ruble, which today plummeted to like nothing. Like it's not worth a fucking dime. So you've pissed off all those people. Their money and their hard work and their energy that they were saving in the bank is worth zero as of today.
And make a change.
And then all the fucking World Junior hockey players like, this guy needs to go. And then all the fucking oligarchs are like, hey, listen, my yacht's gone. My billions in the U.S. are gone. They seized my homes.
Can't go to Italy.
And can't, like that to me makes a lot of sense. And as painful as it is, like we're talking about,
It's
and I get what you're
unfortunate.
saying. It's unfortunate. It's sad. I'm sure there are the
They have a
majority
shitty
of
leader.
Russian people. Yeah, they're just fucking whims to his whims, right? They're just pawns in this fucking weirdness that he thinks he's a god, and he literally thinks he's a great Russian god. And so, I turning the screws around him kind of forces everybody to the middle. That would be my opinion, but I'm no fucking military expert, which is I know why most people are listening because they thought I was.
Or the flip side of that is his internal propaganda machine tells them, hey, you guys, this is exactly what I've been saying for years. You can't go play hockey over there. Now, there's some Russian kid who's good at hockey. It's all he wants to do. Doesn't give a fuck about that. And now he can't go do that. And Putin's going to say, because the West is oppressing you, and he's gonna fucking believe that, or there's a risk that
it plays into it. It plays into that fucking shitty narrative.
It does, and that was why I was worried about it. But I think everyone's critical of the West for their lack of like we're a reactionary culture, right?
Sure.
We don't play the long game. I think these are steps taken to play the long game, and I think, and I hope. And obviously, none of us have the power or the say to make this happen. But I honestly hope that we cripple that country, like cripple it, and we hang in there as long as he's the leader until somebody goes in and removes him. I think that's the only way outside of dropping bombs on which is never going to happen, right?
So you and I are aligned on that. You and I are
think
definitely
we're playing
aligned
the long
on
game
that.
here.
And that's what I'm talking about is a long game, and I'm coming at it from two different perspectives. I want the youth of Russia to be exposed to as much of the world and all good and bad things about it as possible versus just a narrative that the fucking Russian propaganda government-driven machine feeds it. And ways of doing that, let them come here. The last World Hockey team, they were holed up in a hotel in Red Deer because of COVID protocol, but those Russian kids were out fucking partying, getting exposed to Western influence, good, bad, or ugly. Give them perspective to go, hey, wait a minute. The way our country runs is not the fucking way the world works. And the way we're being told or perceived that the West is not the way it is. So I guess I'm just saying in the interest of the long game is maximize their exposure to something other than the narrative they're being fed.
Mm-hmm. You know, they couple things that happened.
Playing nice though. I think that
I don't think it is either. Yeah, but you know what? One of the things that happened that I think. Well, I don't know if you are. I mean, you're the only guy here with 25 years of warfare experience. So I'm going to side with you on most things. But Pornhub banned. Pornhub banned Russia, so they blocked all Russian. So anytime someone in Russia goes on Pornhub, all it has is pictures of Ukrainian flags everywhere, and it says Slava Ukraini, which is glory to Ukraine in Ukrainian.
That's serious psyops right there, gentlemen. Right there. That is
so there's no masturbating there, and then all of a sudden, OnlyFans jumped on board the other day, and all the Russian OnlyFans creators were like, "This is the only way we make monies," and they're like, "Hey, go fuck yourself." And so, like, I wonder how much of that will turn people to look at their leadership and to look at their country after everything we've seen. Like they've arrested 8,000 protesters across the country. Like jails are packed. They can't.
But 100,000 people were on the streets on Saturday night,
and there's 200,000 people on the streets of St. Petersburg right now.
Right now.
So like my thing is like the punishment. Yeah, the punishment of everybody. And I say this I take it with a grain of salt. If the NHL decided not to allow, just out of solidarity with people who are being murdered, like a 6-year-old girl who I saw get murdered in a market in southern Ukraine today on TV. If they said, sorry, you got to go to Malkin, Ovechkin, can't have you in the league. As much as I don't want to see that, because I know that guys like Malkin, Ovechkin are scared to fucking death of Putin because Ovechkin's entire family lives in Russia still.
Yeah.
Like his whole family, but his IG account is still a picture of him and Putin going like this. And so it's like,
wow,
you feel the humanity in the things that we're saying. It's not like we're saying fuck them all, fuck Ovechkin, fuck Russians. It's like, oh my God, like somebody save those people from that cat. that's, I think, what we're trying to say, and just turn the screws now on every side of this fucking loser.
And make
Seems
it
like it's the
impossible.
only thing left to do after 25 years of dictatorship bullshit and terrorism and murder and fucking like scaring the world. Fuck off. It's time.
I thought it was too much. And then when it just kept coming, I was like, maybe this is the only route. Maybe this is the only path we have to a change in leadership in Russia. I mean, the scary part is who's behind the scenes, taking over, right? Like, I mean, Putin has done a pretty good job of clamping down on any potential leadership to the point where there might not be anybody alive that has the possibility of running Russia. That's the scarier part.
Well, by clamping down, you meant kills them, but yeah.
Well, I don't know all but yes, I have heard rumors that people that have stepped up to the plate to say they're going to go against him get shot or poisoned.
Yeah, they have a bad day as a minimum. Yeah.
Isn't that guy the guy that tried to run against him 4 years ago or whatever?
Navalny, Alexei Navalny. He's in like a Siberian prison right now.
No one knows where the hell he is.
No.
But he's earning a lot of points. He's up to 3 smokes a day. He's doing great.
He just needs to break more rocks tomorrow.
That's right.
A busy day of breaking rocks and putting them in a shopping cart tomorrow and driving it through the sand and the snow over to another rock pit.
I don't know what the answer is, but maybe this is it. Maybe there's so much coming at them right now that it's impossible for the propaganda machine in Russia to justify or explain away. I mean, imagine you go to wank off because it makes you, you have a couple of shots of vodka and you're going to pull one and you go on Pornhub and you can't get on it, right? Like,
yeah, you're in the woods. You're in the woods after being there for a year and a half. The only thing you can count on is a little Pornhub. You want to give it a wank. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's like, fuck, where's the porn guy? Like the only thing we had here was porn. And he's like, sorry. Then they Facebook banned Russia from making any money on Facebook. Then today, Zuckerberg literally banned Russian fucking disinterest sites from operating on Facebook. Then Twitter fucking took them out, and then Putin actually blocked Twitter on his end, which is like when a chick breaks up with you, and then you're like, no, I'm breaking up with you.
A lot of blocking.
That's like I've never seen. It's like whole fucking platforms are being blocked. It's like, yeah. And people in Russia are like, whatever, we got VoIP. We can do whatever we want. We can still get any information that we want.
Like
and that spreads like wildfire.
Sanctions are a two-way street. They can't get Pornhub, and now you can't get that Russian porn.
I saved a bunch of it.
Now you got to watch white chicks who can't get to Italy porn instead.
The worst kind.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome to watch. I mean, I'm back and forth between like being like a little nervous every time you hear the word nuke to like trying to go, no, this is like, you got to understand the geopolitical nature of what's going on. There's so many different facets to this. And listen, big ups to the Ukrainian military. I know that they've been dealing with but like, tell me how fucked urban warfare is. It's gotta be.
It's
Did you pull that one video? I don't know if you guys have it, but there's a video and we were laughing so hard this morning. I should have sent it to you. I'm so sorry. But these Ukrainian soldiers are on a street and they've got a coat on a hook or on a stick, and they just stick the coat out into the street and then they pull it back and they start laughing. Like there's so much of that out there that it's taking the air out of the sort of the craziness of war, right? Like that's the stuff. Like that guy you showed the video now, like the New York Times put that video up with the guy with the smoke, and he's running across with the landmine, and his buddy's laughing, and he's filming him, and he's like walking like this. That video I don't know why we were laughing. We watched that like 6 times.
So an unmodified anti-tank mine takes a fucking lot of pressure to set it off. He shouldn't have did that, but he's probably all right.
It's the way he was walking. His buddy is
smoke going.
Good. Gotta, and it's not just a normal smoke too. It's like one of those foot-long smokes. You know what I mean? It's dangling down to his belly.
I want to play that video for you because this was your job with the Army, right? You used to be like a dude that would go and defuse this shit.
We didn't quite do it like that. I'm going to see if I can identify what mine this is too.
Yeah. What are we talking here? What do you got?
It looks like, it's hard to tell. It's TMA2, TMRP6 without a tilt rod on or something. With the fuse wells in the middle, right? I just love how he's holding it out like it'll make a difference.
Like he's holding it away from his body just in case it goes off.
It's designed to blow a tank up, and if he holds it a foot out and turns his head to the right, he's good.
Yeah, that's, you know what? That's the Army Kris. That's the Ukrainian Army Kris. Wouldn't put his smoke down for his life.
Well, and that's not a regular smoke, by the way. That's 100 right there.
And he's walking carefully, which is good. I mean, you know.
He's got a sensible shoe on. He's probably got a good grip.
Yeah, he's got level 4 ballistic blue jeans on.
But this is the shit that makes me laugh so hard. It makes me so proud of the Ukrainian people. It's like,
I know.
This guy's out for a walk on a Saturday. He's having a Saturday stroll. This is from Saturday. And he lights a smoke, and he's like, oh, I better get that landmine just in case. Hang on a second. And he goes and takes the landmine into the woods, where not one fucking Canadian human being other than yourself would go, you know what I got to do? I got to remove that before anybody gets here. We'd be calling 911, poison control, our parents. We'd be calling everybody.
That reminds me of the former Yugoslavia, like fucking every day.
Their composure too with this, right?
Yeah.
And the humor of some of these videos, like the guy pulling
got
up
the
to
video.
the tank,
I have it.
and asking him if he needs a toll back to Russia, and then laughing at him, right? Like it's just awesome.
I got another
know
one to
there's
play
some
too. But this
awful
is the
things
video that you're
happening.
talking about with the Ukrainian army hiding behind a building, and they keep sticking a coat on a stick out. These guys think it's hilarious,
so
and it keeps
funny.
getting shot at. Watch this.
Dark humor.
It's amazing though. Like
is.
there's so many moments like this out of this, and this is such a different kind of war now, right? Like we're getting it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the funniest videos I've seen was this girl who made a TikTok video after she happened upon an empty Russian tank and just started driving around. This is fucking hilarious.
Если вдруг
Watch
вам
this.
попадется свободный или брошенный БТР, то сохраняй лайфхак, как его завести. Включаем массу, оба генератора. Теперь втыкаем обогатитель. Опа. Следующий у нас стартер. Все, завелся. Предохранители. 1, 2, 3, 4. А теперь фары и обдув стекла. Прижимаем сцепление. О! И включаем первую скорость.
I mean,
Well done.
I know
my
what's
God,
going on
that's
over there
funny.
is deadly serious, but I have to tell you, I have never been more Ukrainian than I am today after some of those videos.
I
Like,
can't
fuck.
stop watching it. Like
Me neither.
I had
just
a
been
friend who
engrossing.
said if every Ukrainian with a cell phone had a gun with a GoPro on it, this fucking thing would be done 2 days ago.
That's
We
a
got
good
to keep
point.
an eye on Anthony C. Walker. You know what? I don't believe
that
in
young
anything.
man's okay.
I don't believe in anything that you would pray to, but yeah, I'm thinking about that kid. I keep checking his Twitter.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Anthony's last tweet, I'm just going to comment here, was an hour ago. It says there's a man dying on the Ukrainian side of the border. We can't help him because we don't have the special permission from Polish ministry to cross back and forth. He's also got current situation in Poland. 3 hours ago, he posted a list of things that people need, including a whole bunch of different stuff, medical supplies. But please go and follow him. Anthony C. Walker. This is a Canadian medic who went over to try and help. And that is where he is. He's at the Polish border right now, and he's trying to help as many people as he can, and he's looking to try and get his way into Ukraine so he can help there too. But follow him at Anthony C. Walker. I know his lovely wife, Lady Rebecca, followed me yesterday. Rebecca, we just got to know he's good. He's helping people at the border, and he's doing his darn level best to show people what Canadian gumption's all about. He's just there to help. So anyway, we'll keep everybody posted. But Locke,
that's a good point. He's representing Canada for us.
Yeah,
that's
Anthony,
a really good point.
Anthony, when you get to the border, say this: "Yeni Romoslanyu Ukraine skoyu," which means
that something to do with drinking.
Means I don't speak fucking Ukrainian.
Hey, Dean.
I thought for sure it was something about drinking.
Yeah. Well, we'll give him that message next if he makes it.
Chris Rook.
Can we end before we go with this weekend in sports history?
I'd like.
I think you know the one.
Yeah,
I think you know the one.
Please, this weekend in sports history, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys know this, but this last weekend was 10 years almost to the day that someone did something pretty incredible in bowling. Chris, can you refresh our memories?
Absolutely. 10 years ago, Saturday, February 26th, the legend of Pete Weber was born.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
That is right. I did it. That's number 5. Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Get it right.
Maybe one of the all-time great celebrations in bowling, Pete Weber, when he was like, "Who do you think I am? Who do you think you are? I am."
Still say it all the time.
Who do you think you are? I am.
I could have been a professional bowler. I look up to him.
Could have went pro.
Anyway, thanks, boys. That is Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton's where you can find him at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Also at the Army Kris on Twitter. Chris, really appreciate your expertise and you taking time and being as sensitive as you were about everything with the exception of white chicks during this program.
Appreciate
Thank you very
that.
much
I'll be on a
that.
7-second delay the next time we talk.
Bit of a stumble, but
it's okay.
All in all
the other stuff
outing.
was magical. But listen, I really appreciate your expertise and your service. And folks, if you have a chance, go and download his podcast. It's called Fire for Effect. And you can get it anywhere you get your fine podcasts, including at DeanBlundell.com. He's a 25-year Army veteran and the best of us. So thank you for your service yet again, brother.
And a good friend to have on your side.
Yeah, he really is. Appreciate you. And that is Chris Rook at ROOOOOKI_.
Rudolph
Chris
the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yep. Hopefully his fucking nose gets better next week.
Yeah, you got to get
It
that
won't.
checked.
It won't.
All right. Anyway, appreciate you being here too, brother. Thank you so much. Army Kris and Chris and, of course, Lachlan. That's it for us, everybody. Do. Have a great day. Really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at DeanBlundell.com. Don't forget about our sponsors as well, including Easy Auto Financial. EasyAutoFinancial.ca is where you go to get financing for a vehicle. Super easy to do it. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. You don't have to pay for your financing, and they'll put you in touch with the car. It's all turnkey. They'll send you to the dealership. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Go to Easy Auto Financial today. No obligation. Make sure you sign up. And then they can help you look for that car and the financing that you just can't seem to find or everybody wants to charge you for. They don't. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Also, our friends at Domination. Dominate with content with Domination.com, DMNTN.com. One file can get you like 72 pieces, 72 promos. If you're a gamer or streamer, it saves you hours. You get so many different promos in like minutes. It's artificial intelligence created by really bright people to help content producers and creators like us have more time in our lives. So check them out, DMNTN.com. Try them for free today. And last but not least, Ed's Fine Imports, edsfineimports.com. He's got Gitch, and he wants you to buy him. He's Canadian made. Support a good Canadian dude. GITCH, then the number 3. That is your promo code at edsfineimports.com. Order 3 pairs, you get the 4th for free. He's got a ton of clothes, too, including Heritage jeans, 34 Heritage jeans, the stretchy kind. He's got a full selection, changing over into his spring stuff. So go online and check him out. He's got a full online store, clothing for men and boys, edsfineimports.com. Have a great day, everybody. Really appreciate you joining us. All the best to our friends in the Ukraine and anybody that's supporting the effort to keep those people safe. We appreciate that. Have a wonderful day. Did I already ask you to sign up for our newsletter? I think I might have. DeanBlundell.com. Let's go sign up for the newsletter now. Oh, yeah, YouTube as well. Subscribe on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube, and, of course, Twitch. You can get us there, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch. Subscribe to both. That'd be great. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye.